So I'm Mike Brevoort. I am founder of Beep Boop, which is a platform for hosting Slack and Messenger bots. We're focused on developers and giving developers the freedom to build the bots as they want. So we launch bots as containers. We auto-scale those containers. We handle like key and token management and continuous integration, continuous delivery. So similar to like a Heroku type experience or even like the Lambda timeline, you do a git push. We build and rapidly auto-deploy your bot within seconds. So what I'm going to talk about today, so this is me again, Beep Boop, so Slack and Messenger bots. Some of these slides may look different because I just realized I don't have the fonts on Ben's computer, so we'll see how that turns out. And again, we launch bots as containers, so as developers you can bring whatever framework, whatever language you want, and we'll build and deploy your code. And so, but I want to talk about Beep Boop. I want to talk about something a little bit different, and that we're always challenged with this idea that bots need to be intelligent, and the expectations that we're held to is these bots need to be really intelligent, and our users get really frustrated when they're not intelligent. And I think, I love this quote from Jan LeCun, who made this comment after the AlphaGo occurrence, where he basically said, if intelligence was a cake, and if unsupervised learning was the cake, and supervised learning was the icing on the cake, and reinforced learning was the cherry, we can't make the cake. Like we can make the icing and the cherry, but we can't even make the cake. Like in reality, and so the expectations that people have and that even we're putting on ourselves and what everybody else is saying that should happen with bots, like we can't even make the cake. And so this is really like your AI chatbot that's supposed to be this spaceship, this amazing spaceship, and everybody, when they have a chatbot, they put AI before it, and they're like, my AI chatbot is really like this cart with bicycle wheels that looks like it's been sitting in a yard for 2 years. Maybe it's close to that. And so maybe we're just doing it wrong, like we're thinking about these things in the wrong way. And so I'd like to encourage us to kind of start to think differently about these things. And so Arthur Kessler in the Ghost in the Machine coined this term called a holon, which was this concept of something that was simultaneously a part and a whole, that was autonomous and self-reliant and had a deep degree of independence, but could participate sort of in a network of things, but handle contingencies without higher authority, etc. And so with that in mind, if you take, this is a common use case of, here's this bot, he doesn't even give you the weather, he just gives you the temperature, right? And what's here, you have a user that asks in natural language for the temperature, and the bot responds with the temperature. And what is, oops, oh, my fonts are gone, so you can't see my bold highlighting. But what's significant here is, we do basic intent matching and the extraction to say you're looking for the temperature at this particular time, at this particular place, and the bot responds with some pleasantries, but basically with the temperature. And so if you take a step back and say, well, what if it wasn't a human asking that in natural language from a chat perspective? What if it's just another bot? And we kind of flip the script, right? So we say that our bots need to understand natural language, but we respond in language as well. And so what if the bot asks the question of what the temperature is, and maybe in a more structured way that's actually easier to understand. And so you could conceivably see that you could have some bot, and this one's named that asks for what the temperature is, and the bot responds, and he does, NLU on the response and parses out the temperature. Super simple use case, though. And let's say we want to do something a little bit more involved or interesting, which is just like, I want to ask the bot, just, hey, do something, because I think we focus so much on the conversation when we build bots that we miss the fact that, bots can be these great things that are like sight unseen. I think like the best conversation you could have is the one that you don't have to have, and we focus so much on the conversation. I want bots to do things for me that I don't have to talk to unless it's really important or high value. So what if I ask the bot to say, hey, tell me when I should just dress for the weather? Like, watch out for me, be my agent, and do that for me. You got it, Candace. And then sometime later, the bot says, yo, Candace, don't forget your umbrella today. We can say, well, how did know this? And how could we actually build this? And just so, here's a thought experiment. So what if we have this Backchannel, and we have these multiple bots in the Backchannel, and one is called Cal, and Cal just chimes in every time Candace has an appointment upcoming for the day, and is like, oh, look, Candace has a meeting, is meeting her brother for lunch in the mission today. And Tempe sees that and sees the location and is like, oh, wait, the temperature in San Francisco around lunchtime is going to be 64 degrees. And we have yet another bot that's in this back channel that sees that and goes, oh, there's an 85% chance of rain today in San Francisco. Something's happening in San Francisco. They're just reacting to what's happening in this channel and responding. And then goes, oh, wait, San Francisco, chance of rain. I better tell Candace that she's going to need her umbrella. And then she messages Candace to say, yo, Candace, bring your umbrella today. Thank you, you're the best, right? And that happened by this sort of brittle composition of things happening in this back channel. And you can see, other things could sort of happen as well. But I like to think about this as kind of this ticker tape, right? And if you remember the old ticker tapes with stock quotes getting printed, and if a channel is like a ticker tape, you could have both bots observing and humans observing or writing and observing to the ticker tape. So anybody could write to this tape, and it's this history that's happened, right? So bots and people. And so the example I gave was just bots in a channel, but you could think about, well, a human can jump into that channel as well. And it's actually the way that we're building the inner workings of Beep Boop. We don't have any administrative UI, and we're building all of administrative functions as little bots that go and do things. We can integrate, or we can sort of integrate and talk to those bots, especially when we don't have functions that humans do at the moment. We talk to bots and trigger things, and then we figure out what language works and how it works, and we're starting to add bots to do things that we're doing, like generating invoicing at the end of the month. And so, this is maybe what that looks like. It's like Candace just sees and talks to it. One very specific thing does sort of holonic or like monadic of like does one thing and do it one thing well. But behind of this is sort of chaos that's happening and reacting. And then, so if you could let yourself assume that that's possible, then even greater and greater, more complex things can be created out of composition of this style of development. And I go back to Marvin Minsky, who wrote in the Society of Mind, and talks about intelligence that we're trying to create this. It's not this one thing. It's not like the intelligent AI Siri chatbot that can do everything, answer every question for me under every scenario. It's not any one trick, but it really stems from this vast diversity and not like one single perfect principle. And so back to Kessler with his idea of this holon, that if we think of these bots potentially that share these channels and talk to each other, that you end up forming these like synaptic networks or these holarchies of bots that communicate with each other. Which is like, what the, like, are you kidding me, right? Like, this is either like terrifying or absolutely ridiculous. It's potentially very brittle. It brings all sorts of questions about privacy and like whether they have first-party data, third-party data, etc. Right now, we're experimenting with this, and it's actually been a lot of fun. It's been interesting, very much in a first-party way in our own trusted channel. And in addition, you have to be aware of things like the left pad bot, if any of you is familiar with what happened a few months ago in the Node community there. But anyway, we're sort of on this journey. We're building Beep Boop as a way for people and developers to be able to build and share bots, and we think it's really interesting and what they do. So join us on the journey. We've got kind of a long way to go. So thanks, everybody.